Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's show. Hey, we are at the test range down here at Vortex, and we're gonna show you guys how to do some really long range shooting. So you guys hang on to your hangs. Ruben, how you doing today? Awesome. David?
Good to have you guys.
Hey, I'll tell you what, we appreciate you guys having us today. And you know what? It's really all about learning. And what are we going to be doing today?
Kind of everything from zeroing to chronographing, getting the speed of the bullet, and then entering that information into a ballistic calculator. We're going to use geoballistics today.
Okay. It sounds complicated a little bit.
It can sound complicated.
Right.
Really what we try to do here is we try to simplify all this stuff. August is going to come pretty soon, and we're going to have to be ready to do this, and our gear is going to have to be ready.
Let's kind of tell everybody really what your part is here at Vortex.
Yeah, so I'm the dealer training manager. So basically what Vortex provides to our outdoor retailers, right? We provide product training for them. So a lot of this stuff, I think it can look complicated and it can look like it has a lot of features that maybe get too busy, but it's my job and my team's job to make sure that we explain all of that to the retailers who are selling our product, so that when a customer walks in and asks the question, right, those guys have the answers and can provide them with the right product. So that's kind of what I do.
Mr. Archer, let's tell everybody what you do at Vortex.
Sure. So I'm in sales, so I work with our customers. A main thing that we care about at Vortex is our customer. I kind of do my best to take care of everyone as best I can.
We're going to zero this rifle today at 100 yards. That means that our crosshairs are aiming at a point on the target, and that's where we want the bullet to intersect. So we've got that set up. We're going to check our zero. One of the cool things that we can do while we do that is we got a chronograph set up here, and so we're going to gather the speed of the bullet while we're checking our zero. That's our first step, and then I'm going to write down some of that information so that we can go and enter it into the ballistic calculator.
And these are all 6.5 Creedmoors?
Yep, we do a lot of this type of shooting. It's a relatively low recoil. There's a really good selection of ammunition on the market. Today we're going to use Hornady. This ammo is the Precision Hunter, so it's the 143 grain ELDX. That bullet is kind of a hybrid of a match bullet and a hunting bullet. And so to do this and to get good results downrange, we want to use a bullet that has a very consistent, what we call like a drag profile, so the resistance on that bullet as it flies from the muzzle to the target. So we're using kind of a hybrid target hunting bullet. We'll go hot here. I want to just get the rifle in line with the target, get my body in line with the target, and then what I can do is I can actually get behind it, pull that rifle into my shoulder. And today we're using, to help us be stable behind the gun, we're actually using a bipod on the front, and we're using what's called a rear bag or rear support under the buttstock here in the rear. It shouldn't really take too much if I've already kind of aligned the rifle up down there. You can see I'm not straining as I'm behind the gun. I'm just kind of slouched into the gun. I'm nice and comfortable. I use this hand, my offhand, to support the rear bag here and to make adjustments. So as I pull that rear bag into my shoulder, what I'm seeing is I'm seeing a very high level of stability. I don't have much wiggle at all. But we'll go here, we'll make the gun hot. I'm just gonna feed one round at a time to do this. And as you can see, the Garmin Zero is up and ready to capture our velocity. And so I'll go ahead and take the first shot. So I get my magnification at a level where I want it. I see the right amount of detail on the target through the scope. I've checked my parallax setting here on the left. I've got it adjusted to 100. I'll go ahead and take a nice controlled shot. As you can kind of see also, I don't push that bolt forward until I'm ready to shoot. Close that bolt. Okay, we can see I'm just a little bit right. Really, I probably want about 5 shots to get a velocity on the chronograph. So I'm going to do a 5-shot sample here just to gather. You can go as far as you want with this. A lot of times people are, thinking about, conserving ammo. At the same time, if we're going to go out and shoot targets at distance, I want to make sure I have a good enough sample size to get a velocity to enter into the ballistic calculator that's going to give me good results downrange. All right, so getting ready to take the 5th shot here. One of the things I wanted to go over is the rifle scope that we're using. So on this rifle is our Razor LHT. This is a 4.5 to 22. It's a first focal plane scope. One of the things, you know, first focal plane is nice because it doesn't mandate that you need to use the rifle scope on max magnification for longer distance shots or for shots where you're holding elevation and windage. So the reticle is true throughout the whole magnification range, and so that's why we're using this rifle scope today. 2690 is our average. So we've got our velocity established. We've also established a really good zero. Right now, down at 100 yards, a rifle's printing about a 1/2 inch group. If we continued to shoot more, we would see that group open up to its true average. But for now, we've established that our point of impact is where our point of aim is for this distance, and so we're happy with that. What I'll do next is I'll go actually into the ballistic solver and start to enter in some of this information.
Okay.
Okay, so we're on the home screen here on geoballistics, right? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna build this rifle into this app. And then we'll go 143 ELDX. 5, it's a 6.5 Creedmoor. We'll go into the manufacturer of the bullet. So this is Hornady.
Yep.
And then we're gonna go down to 143 grain. It's gonna give us a few options. When I'm doing this here, what I like to do is I like to select the multi-BC option. We'll go our sight height. So the sight height is the distance from, basically from your firing pin on a center fire rifle up to the center line of the scope. I've measured this one out, and this is at 1.75 inches. Our zero range, as we established, is 100 yards. There's a few other things in here, like our elevation offset and our windage offset. I have those at 0, basically because what I'm telling the calculator is that at 100 yards, I'm dead on. My twist rate on this rifle, as kind of notated here on the barrel, is 1 in 8. What that's telling us is that for every 8 inches the bullet travels down the barrel, it goes through 1 full revolution. So our muzzle velocity here we established is 2,690 feet per second. Now we go down here, the optic, as I said before, this optic is in milliradians, so we have MRAD selected. We'll leave the sight scale factor for elevation and windage at 1. What that just means is that this scope tracks true. So if I dial 1 mil, the reticle moves 1 mil. My vital size, Larry, what's a vital size on a deer?
I'm gonna say 6 inches.
6 inches, okay.
Yep.
We can put that in there. And on the home screen, that's where we actually start to see that data displayed. We've got a chart here we can go into, and I can tell this, I wanna see what a 500 yard chart looks like. And it'll have it displayed here in, right now it's in 100 yard increments. This grayed out field right here, that vital zone is 6 inches in diameter. Okay, so if we're aiming at the center of that 6 inch circle, at 190 yards, that's where that bullet drops out of that circle. The next step would be, let's confirm that data, right? Let's see if that data is true. Go to 200 yards.
Okay.
And let's see what happens.
That's
so,
interesting. I'm going to see how this works.
Want to jump on the spotting scope?
I got her.
All right. The calculator is telling me that I have 0.5 mils of drop. So
0.5?
0.5. So this turret is laid out in tenths. And so if I simply dial 5 clicks or a 1/2 mil on the turret, what that's telling me is I should be dead on. And so you see that target, not the far right, but the next one in. It's kind of that propane tank shape, like you said.
The small one. Yep.
Yep. So we'll go ahead. I'm on target. I've got a 1/2 mil dialed in on my turret. I've got my parallax adjusted.
Ready. Spot on.
Let's do it again.
Spot on again. Yep.
So that's the first.
It's that easy.
It's that easy.
That's.
You know, as we start to go out farther, we're going to see some things like wind. We're going to see some of these environmental factors start to affect us a little more. Wind is one of the hardest variables to judge, right? Because we'll see wind here, and we could use something like a device that measures wind, right? We could use that, and we could say, okay, the wind is this.
Right where I'm at.
But that's where I'm at.
Right, not where the target's at.
Yeah, so we start shooting out over terrain features. You know, maybe the hills roll, or maybe there's a wood line that blocks the wind. really what I'm kind of trying to do is I'm kind of trying to get an idea of what the wind is doing between me and the target. You know, vegetation, grass, leaves. I'm going to look at what the mirage is doing. So as I look through my optic on a sunnier day, it might be a little easier to see, but like I'm going to look at what that mirage is doing. A lot of times with wind, it really comes down to having a good estimate of what the wind is doing, but also having the experience of shooting in the wind and being able to pull that knowledge back and say, I was shooting on the range this day, this is what it was doing, and then being able to recall that when you need to take a shot at further distances.
Right. Just getting a really good feel for it.
Yeah. All right, so we went to 100 and then 200. And we're going to double that. We're going to go to 400.
400 right away.
Yep. So we're going to go straight across here.
Okay.
We're going to shoot that far right target. So I'm going to move the rifle this way. And so we're on a known distance range here. We know the distance to the target. We could also use a rangefinder to get that. But for 400 yards, this is telling me 2 mils of elevation. So I'm going to dial this. There's 1, there's 1.5, and there's 2. I don't see a lot of wind right now. So we'll go ahead and take a shot, and we'll kind of make sure we're centered up on the target. And then we'll see if the bullet moved in relation to where I'm aiming to see what the wind is doing, all right?
Spot on again.
We're pretty good. We're going to send another one. Did you see any wind, or is it pretty centered up?
It's pretty centered up.
I'll send another one.
Right on again.
Okay, so that's kind of the data collection and confirmation process, and we could extrapolate this out and go 500, 600, 800, 1,000, right? We can keep taking this out, but we're going to build off of these fundamentals. So we got a rifle that's set up properly, and we've got good data in our ballistic calculator. The next thing we can do is we can keep going out, but I want you to get on the gun at some point too.
I'm not going to argue with that at all.
All right.
Where do you want me to start, at the 200?
Yeah, we can start at 200.
Okay.
I like having these benches like that. Just gives you a little more.
Oh yeah, you can move a little easier.
A lot of people, they're leaning the wrong way, or they're not, their body weight's not centered, or the gun's not centered, or the bipod's not in the right spot, and just get good and comfortable before you really even need
Try to make that shot.
Exactly.
You able to see those targets, Larry?
Oh yeah, not a problem.
Is the reticle clear for you, or is it a little fuzzy?
It's a little bit fuzzy, not bad.
We're going to adjust your diopter. So on rifle scopes, we've got this adjustment back on the eyepiece. A lot of times it's called the reticle focus. We're going to call it the diopter. So the diopter actually allows you to focus the reticle to your eye.
Okay.
When you're adjusting the diopter, we make big adjustments, and then we can kind of fine tune it. So if you look through that scope long enough, your eye will bring that into focus. So we're going to make big adjustment. I don't necessarily care about the target being in focus, but
Okay.
I want the crosshairs in focus.
Oh, it's definitely better.
Okay.
Definitely better. That's better.
Better yet?
Yep.
Okay. Crosshairs nice and crisp.
Very crisp.
All right. But what we're looking at the XLR2 reticle, more of a tree style reticle, or a lot of people would call it a Christmas tree. We would call it a technical reticle. We can get very precise adjustments on that reticle. Right now, what we care about is we care about that center crosshair. So in the setup, you've got a bipod up here keeping the rifle steady. And we've got a rear bag in the back keeping the back of the rifle steady. A lot of times we'll see putting the hand up here. We'll actually put this hand back on the bag.
Back on the bag, huh?
Yep. So we'll feed you one here.
Okay.
And when you're looking through the scope at that target where you want to hit, go ahead and push that bolt forward.
Okay.
And when you're ready, go ahead and push that bolt forward and take your shot. We'll jump on the glass. There we go. 200 yards.
That seemed pretty simple.
And we'll see this kind of as we go farther out, right? But with the right data, we get the right data put in the ballistic solver, we get good inputs equal good outputs. You want to jump over to 300 or so? So I'll reference here in geoballistics, it's telling us 1.2 mils of elevation.
1.2 mil. 1.2.
All right, we're at 300 yards. All right, right on.
Woo! Was that spot on that time too?
Same spot.
Jeez.
So let's talk about that for a minute. What did we just do?
Well, we achieved something that I've never done before. You start accurately shooting out at 400 yards, and realistically, I hate to say it, it wasn't that hard, right?
Yeah.
It really wasn't. I mean, just for me to go on my own and try to achieve this, I think I was intimidated, right?
Yeah.
So now basically seeing how easy it is to be able to set up that scope to be able to make that kind of long distance shots, it's one of them kind of things where I'm going to say it. If I can do it, pretty much anybody can do it.
You know, a big thing is like having the right components, having, you know, good ammo that's consistent, having an optic. Like, what would you do if we were going out further and further if your scope doesn't have the ability to adjust, right? And so it's not that everybody needs that optic that has that those types of features, but they sure do help when you start going out and wanting to put shots on target. So Larry, we talk a little bit, I keep referencing that we're using the GeoBallistics app, right? So GeoBallistics is, like I said before, it's an application on your phone. It's a software application. It's a free app. You can buy any Vortex GeoBallistics equipped device, like the rangefinder, the weapons mounted rangefinder, and that will come and unlock the premium version of the app. Customers can also log in and get the premium version of the app as well. It's a slight charge, but when you get that app on your phone, that's kind of your home station. That's where you start to build out your rifle profiles. That's where you say, let's say we have 2 or 3 different kinds of ammo we want to shoot in this gun. We can put a profile in for the different types of ammo that we're using too.
Okay.
And I think it's important to say too, you know, we're shooting this rifle today, and I think, you know, this rifle's set up for doing this kind of thing. Doesn't need to be one of those things where you break the bank to do this. The biggest thing would be getting a rifle that has that capability, right? And getting the right type of optic for that. At Vortex, we make a lot of different types of glass. We have rifle scopes that have this type of capability around $300 to $400, all the way up to premium price tier, right? And everything in between as well. You could buy a very expensive rifle scope that doesn't have the right features, and it's not going to help you here.
All right, well, what do we got next?
I think we got 500.
I'm ready for it, I can tell you that. I'm feeling pretty confident.
I
I hopefully not overconfident.
500 yards, we're looking at 3 mils of elevation.
Okay, so 3 mils of elevation, so pretty simple.
Let's move your bench over so you're nice and square behind the gun. As we start to kind of go down the fairway here, we can start to square up to that bench a little more.
You guys all good?
Yep.
Okay. I do believe that was a direct hit.
I'm going to have you go to 600.
600, huh?
This is where we start to pick up the pace a little bit.
Woo. Pretty good.
Yep.
Woo! Oh, that
600.
600. 500's the farthest I've ever shot, and I wasn't that accurate at all. Now doing 600 is you start thinking about that. That's pretty crazy. That's a long distance, and to be able to put 2 of them right in the target like that, it puts kind of a smile on my face.
So Larry, I want to do something. I want you to shoot another one.
At the same thing?
The same one.
Okay.
And then we're gonna figure out roughly what your group size is at that distance.
How are you going to figure that out?
Well, we can look through the scope to determine that, but I know the size of that target,
okay.
So I can kind of give us a rough estimate.
Okay.
Okay. So without going down range, I would say you have about an 6 to 8 inch group. So
okay.
2 kind of up here and 1 right about here.
Yep.
And so if we were to kind of find an average and draw a circle around that, you'd probably be about an 8 inch group.
Like I'm thinking of, like if I'm out west hunting, and I think that's a little wide. I would want a tighter group to have more confidence.
So how stable are you when you're pressing that trigger?
I feel like I'm pretty stable, but apparently because I've got the scope dead on every time right on the same spot.
How about your trigger press? What's your process for trigger press?
It's usually, you know something? I have to admit to you, I really wasn't thinking about that a lot.
As we start to go out further, can affect us is little imperfections in our form, in our shooting form.
Okay.
You're obviously really comfortable on the bench.
Very
you got
comfortable.
A front bipod, rear bag. The gun's pretty stable, but that trigger press can be a moment that causes a little bit of movement, right? A lot of times we aim and then we press the trigger.
Right, 100.
What I kind of want to get in the habit of doing is kind of marrying those two things. So while you're aiming, you're pressing the trigger slowly. I would say, without knowing exactly what we could do to dial it in, we could probably focus a little bit on our trigger press, and some of the easy things that we can do on a rifle like this. We can see magazine is out. We've got a clear chamber, visually and physically inspected it. On a traditional rifle or a shotgun, a lot of times we're gripping the gun like this, right?
Right.
Our thumb is back here.
Mm-hmm.
On a rifle like this, when we're doing this type of shooting, one of the things I like to do is I like to move my thumb over here. As we apply pressure to this trigger, we can twist the gun. So our thumb is actually pulling the gun as we apply pressure.
That's
to that
interesting.
Trigger. So
very interesting.
By placing my thumb over on this side,
you're not doing that.
We're not influencing that gun. We're not applying torque to the grip.
That is an absolutely incredible tip. I never would have thought about that.
So as we're placing our finger on that trigger, we're kind of creating this like 90-degree angle in our first joint here, right? So I'm not like pulling back like this.
And that's what I'm doing.
I'm kind of going like this.
You're pressing.
So I'm applying, it's press instead of a pull.
Okay. That's two really good tips.
Move that thumb over here.
Okay.
And press the trigger. Don't pull it.
Okay. Okay. Everybody good?
We're ready.
Again, I just caught myself.
It's a habit that we got to force out. There we go. That's what I like to see. All right. Now you're inside of your old group.
That's interesting.
All the variables really start to matter.
Right.
Some of those little things, those little tiny adjustments can have a huge impact downrange. As we start to have to deal with more variables, we want to minimize the ones we can control.
700?
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
So we had a 1/2 mil at 200.
Right.
Then we go 300 was 1 mil.
1 mil. 2 mil.
4 was 2.
Yep.
5 was 3.
3.
And 6 was 4.
Right. And now all of a sudden we're going
to
5.1.
What I would do if I was out here getting my hunting rifle ready for today and I saw something like that kind of coincide, I would say that's handy information, because now I can, let's just say my phone battery dies, right? Or my rangefinder battery dies. I can kind of reference that information and go, well, this gun actually was very simple out to about 600 yards. It was roughly 3 was 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. It doesn't always work out like that. But for something like this, if I saw that work out when I was building out my rifle for the season, I'd probably write it down, or I'd at least record it and say that was a nice coincidence that happened.
Right. 700 yards. I'm going to go all the way to the left and go small.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah. Hard to believe. That is hard to believe.
Let's do it again.
Okay.
You focused a little more on the fundamentals that time.
I did focus a lot more on that, right? Instead of just kind of getting a little too confident that I can make that shot, just putting everything together and just having it just perfect. That made a huge difference on that. All right, are we going 8?
Let's go 1,000.
1,000.
Let's go to 1,000.
Okay. Woo!
Yep. So let's make a little adjustment here
Right.
on the shooting bag.
Okay.
So let's bring that back here.
Okay.
We can bunch it up like that if we want
Okay.
to. And then
I keep
let's
wanting
slide the
to.
gun over so you're right behind it.
And our adjustments are going to be on the app this time.
We're at 9.1.
9.1, huh?
Yep.
Let's see if I can do 1,000 yards. Whew! That's unbelievable.
Right in the
1,000 yards.
center.
That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. Can I do it one more time?
Yes.
I got to just see if it was just luck. Holy man, 1,000 yards. Oh my gosh. Thank you, my friend.
Excellent. Okay. Okay.
That's crazy.
We got a little treat for you.
Yeah.
We're going to dial 9.7. Okay, so that's 1,043.
Okay.
Big buffalo target there. Okay, nothing changes, right?
Okay.
This is everything you've been doing. We don't need to make any changes to what we're doing. We've been watching what the wind is doing. We actually have the wind pretty much right at our back. Big buffalo target.
I see the buffalo.
Comfortable?
I feel really good.
Okay. Just over the top. Just high.
Over the top, huh?
Yeah, by like probably 2 to 3 inches.
One more?
Oh yeah. Get back.
How'd you know it? You saw it hit before? Oh, before you could hear it. Holy man, that's crazy.
That's a little surprise.
Thank you, my friend. That is absolutely. Look at that. 1,000 yards.
See the buffalo?
It's a great day to be alive, I can tell you that. Arch, I want you to make that shot now. Come on. 1,040. That's crazy.
Yeah, no pressure or anything. Jeez, Larry.
Yeah.
Woo, that's fun.
That is fun. That's crazy. 1,000 yards. I used to think 100 yards was a lot. Ruben just showed me a little trick, and I have a very hard time sometimes when I'm out in the field to get my firearms stable to make that long distance shot. Let's talk about that, Ruben.
Yeah, so a lot of times when we're out on the range here practicing our fundamentals, we're also trying to figure out ways how to get stable. One of the common ways that we can get stable in a compromised shooting position using the things we have around us.
Sure.
A lot of times I'm gonna grab a tripod to help me get stable. I've still got quite a bit of what ends up looking like up and down movement because the gun is rocking back and forth. I'm gonna pull the tripod into position here like this. I'm gonna use this leg of the tripod to get super stable by using my hand. I'm clamping around the leg of the tripod and I'm using my thumb to push the tripod, the stock into the tripod. So this is kind of what it looks like, right? I can almost eliminate all of that up and down movement. And basically what I've done is I've created a rear support that's minimizing or eliminating a lot of that wobble that I have when I'm shooting in a position like this.
When a guy's looking at getting a rangefinder, like where do you start?
If we're out in the field and we don't know the distance to the target, we need a rangefinder. With everything from the Crossfire 1400, the Diamondback 2000, the Viper 3000, the Razor 4000. So we've also got the Razor 4000 GB with geoballistics. So that's another option. It doesn't force you to reference back to the phone, which is kind of nice because we're not having to go back and forth.
Right, you never know. Right.
And so through the optic, you have a display in the optic that will not only display the range to the target, but it'll display the inclination, so the angle at which you're shooting, a compass heading, and then it'll also display the same information on your ballistics that you would get if you were using the app. What we have right now in front of you is the Razor 4000 GB. So we've already gone ahead and programmed this rifle into that rangefinder, right?
Right.
Now we've got our ballistics on board. That unit also has onboard temperature, pressure, and humidity sensors to give us up-to-date atmospherics. Let's range that 500-yard target.
507 I got.
507, okay. So up above that center crosshair, you should see a number that's...
Yep, 3.0.
3.0, so that's your elevation adjustment for that target.
Okay.
Now the Razor 4000 GB also has the ability to input a wind value. So
I can see that in there. It says 8.
you can use the buttons on top, toggle that wind value. We can also select the direction the wind is coming from by simply aiming the device into the wind, capturing that wind direction, and then the onboard compass will apply a wind value to that target that you're shooting. So this is the Impact 4000. As you can see, it's mounted on quite a different style rifle than we were shooting earlier. Kind of a combination between almost a tactical style rifle for like professional use and competition. Not that you couldn't take it hunting with you, it just gets a little bit heavy if you're carrying it around in a backpack or something like that. But this rifle is a tack driver, and you know, we talk about it a little bit, but some of those features that allow you to utilize, maybe like we've got a bipod on here that can slide back and forth on the integrated ARCA rail, you know, giving you more flexibility where you need to mount that bipod for maybe some compromised shooting positions. But kind of like we said, so we've got this rifle scope mounted to a mount. We've got this diving board mount, which is the host for the impact. As I'm sighting downrange and picking a target, I'd simply acquire that target, aim my crosshairs directly at the target, and I'll simply push this button. There's also a remote that can be used with it. People are mounting them up here or here. I've seen them up here, so I can push a button. A lot of times I'll mount mine back here, so if I'm like this and I'm supporting my rear bag with my left hand, I can simply activate that button to range the target. I can go right here, click that button, range is at 398 yards. I'm pointed right at the 400-yard berm. It's giving me my elevation adjustment, 1.94 mils. I can then either go to my turret and dial that adjustment, or using some of these more technical reticles like we've been shooting today, I can simply look through the scope, find that mil mark, 1.94, so I'll probably hold for 2, send the bolt home, take my shot, and
very cool.
Not having to go to that handheld.
Hey, any chance we can go over to the factory and see what's going on there?
That sounds like a great plan.
Let's do it. Now we're going to actually go in and see where everything is really done.
We'd love to have you guys come see us. We really appreciate that you guys came out.
Appreciate it.
Right off the highway 18151 between Madison and Dodgeville. We're open 8 to 5 during the week, so please come see us and let's go check it out.
Hey, that's kind of interesting. So anybody can come here 8 to 5.
That's right.
That's awesome. Let's go in and check it out. I gotta ask you, what is your favorite product?
I like that handheld Razor GB rangefinder that we use today.
Okay.
Because when you use that with the app and you have the mapping features, I really think that's a powerful tool that can be used in so many different ways. I'm not even sure we've found all the uses for it yet, but I think the versatility of that rangefinder is great. And I'll tell you, I put it in my turkey vest too.
You did?
I don't even need to carry binoculars.
Oh, that's
got
sweet.
a really, really good glass, great binocular in it too. So we've got every single optic that we make is available to come in and look at. We've got our technical sales staff right back here that can come and help you pick something out. So please feel free to stop in. We can answer any questions you have. We've got a great area to view out here. So if you want to come test spotting scopes, binoculars. So the apparel stuff for us kind of started out really just putting logos on t-shirts and sweatshirts and hats. You know, as we kind of moved forward with it and got a little bit better at it, we said, well, it'd be really nice if we had a shirt that I could wear to work and then go to the range or go fishing in afterwards. So you're going to see a lot of versatile clothing wear that we've kind of just designed ourselves. It's really just something to fit the outdoors lifestyle. I can wear it to church or wherever I need to go. So it's kind of it's been a fun thing, and we're just trying to come up with new ideas. And some of them work, some of them don't. But we keep throwing spaghetti at the wall and listening to the customers for whatever they might need. So people, when they come in, they do a little. You can put your pin in wherever you're from.
Okay.
So we get people coming in from all over the country. So it's really kind of a fun destination type stop for people as they're going through across the state of Wisconsin.
Makes a lot of sense.
So one thing that I think makes Vortex unique is it's our customer service, our commitment to the customer. We don't want to just sell you a rifle scope. We want to sell you a rifle scope that's going to make you successful in whatever you're using it for, right?
Right.
If you've got a hunt coming up this fall or going out west and you don't know
Got
what
a
you
question?
need, call us. You'll have someone on the line within a matter of seconds. We'll put you in the right optic. We'll tell you where you can buy it. We can answer all your other questions that go with that and really get you set up for success, because that's what's most important to us, not just to sell the optic, but to have you be successful using it.
Well, you guys make things fun.
Yeah, it is. Well, we enjoy it too, so it's fun
Right.
for us. We love talking to the customers, working through situations and issues, and even after you purchase that Vortex scope, we'll help you with anything you need, all the way on the back end too.
Do you guys have daycare here too? where?
That was the thing we passed.
That's
that
what I
little
thought.
Buffalo
Okay,
cartoon.
yep.
Yeah, so I got 2 boys over there. And that place, we've expanded it 3 times already since we moved down here.
This is the metrology lab.
Okay.
You met Zia.
Yep.
Zia runs the machines in here. They're taking parts coming off of the machines out here as they're manufacturing components, right?
Okay.
They're coming in here, checking the quality of them. So the engineer that designs a component is going to have basically a 3D model of that part, right? And then the machine operators are going to take that
Put it
3D model, program the machine to cut that part,
Okay.
right? But they got to make sure they're following exactly the instructions that they're given, right? And so they're making that part to a specific tolerance, really, of what that engineer called for when they designed that part. And so in here, the metrology lab is these big machines are called CMMs, or a coordinate measuring machine. And what they do is they're basically going to take that original drawing of the part, that 3D model,
And measure everything?
and measure back to it. So
Holy
one of
cats.
those scopes out there, one of the tubes that they're manufacturing has, I think, 217 measurable features. So when that scope gets put on the CMM and that model gets brought up, those probes have to touch off on specific features of that component, right? And basically what they're doing is they're making sure that the machines are making parts to those tolerances and to spec of what the engineer called for.
How much time are you boys spending here?
I'm not going to answer that. So you can kind of see, like, this hill is built on this hill, and this hill slopes away, and so they actually had to take fill from this side and move it over on that side.
Look at that retaining wall. Oh man.
So every Vortex product, anywhere you see in the world, comes through here.
Right here.
Yep.
Holy man.
How many of these things will get shipped out to somebody who shoots their first deer, shoots their last deer, shoots their first competition?
Maybe hunts with their dad, and it's the
Hunts with
last
their
hunting
dad.
trip
Yeah.
that they ever go on with their father.
How many rare experiences are there?
That's a great way to look at it. How many shipping containers of product are here? Thousands.
I actually don't know that one. Yeah.
Right, like think about that container-wise. I've always felt that one of the most unique things about Vortex and their products, besides the customer service, is really the repair. Like, I know so many guys that, things happen, accidents happen, and that their binos break or their scope breaks and they send it in. And it's amazing how your policy is that return time is so short. How do you guys return things or fix them and get them sent back so fast?
I think the biggest thing is we understand that our customers want to use our products out in the field. The longer we hold on to them, the less they get to have it, right? And so especially during busy times of year where people are out hunting or they're out using their binos or their rangefinder, their rifle scope, the 9-day gun season, or maybe they've got a special draw hunt out west. So right now, like under 5 days, we're probably getting it back to that customer.
Boy,
And
that's
so-
impressive.
And that comes from prioritizing your customer's needs.
Have you ever dropped a pair of binos?
Yeah.
You have?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I'm not the only one that's happened to.
No, I'm definitely a user of the VIP warranty.
One of those things, so that's free advertising there. We just bought us.
Oh, you are, huh?
bought one.
That's awesome. You're getting into the golf deal
right.
here, right? So now you're making rangefinders for golfing yet, huh?
Yeah, so we looked at some hunting rangefinders earlier today, and I wanted to show you guys the new golf rangefinders. We've got 3 different models here. We've got our blade slope, and our Anarch. Everything's covered under the Vortex lifetime warranty. We're the only rangefinder in the business to have that kind of a warranty.
Wow.
You've got slope features, you've got image stabilization, lots of cool things in there. But we really encourage people to ask your local golf retailer about them. It's a great product. I'm a big golfer. I use it all the time. But kind of a fun new thing that we're working on.
Hey everybody, what an awesome time today down here at Vortex. You know what? If you guys are looking for great optics, make sure you guys check out Vortex. And you know what? Like I always say, it's a great day to be alive.